Hi everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path, and it's been a while. Today we're going to do a video on comfort reads because recently I have been sick. I've been ill, not with COVID, but with something else which I'll tell you about. I will sing my truth in a moment. But the first thing I want to do is I want to say thank you to my new subscribers, and very excited to talk to everybody about what's been going on. Not really about what's been going on because, we'll talk about books. First thing I want to do though is I want to say, in addition to everything else, this morning I sat on my glasses, and I don't know if you can tell, I have to take them off anyway because I always have the glare, but now they're even more wonky than usual because I sat on them. And I'm no spring chicken, and I'm no lightweight. And so when I sit on my glasses, it's pretty significant trouble there. Okay, so first off, let me keep you up to date. Normally I complain that it's very hot in Okie Dokie. Today it's super cold in Okie Dokie, and we're waiting for snow. And we don't know much about snow in Okie Dokie. We don't drive well. We tend to shut things down, which is what we're doing, which is why I'm home, because my office got shut down, which I'm happy about. But anyway, so not hot today in Okie Dokie, super, super cold. So everybody stay warm out there. Okay, so let's talk about being sick and going to my bookshelf and finding some reads that help me through this. Now, first off, I want to say I have not been sick with COVID. Fortunately, I haven't had that experience, and so I hope anybody dealing with COVID is doing well and feeling better. I actually, and this is a funny story, not really, but I, for years, took medicine, sorry, I'm screwing with my hair, for anxiety. And which was great. I'm all about taking the medicine. I didn't have a problem with it. I took it for years, but then I wanted to get off of it because I didn't think I needed it anymore. And so my ex-doctor, who shall remain nameless, said, well, let's not take you off the medicine completely. Let's take you off that medicine and give you another medicine. And that medicine shall remain nameless. If you want to private message me, I'll tell you which one it was. They put me on this other medicine, and it was a disaster. I reacted to it. I got every single side effect in the world. And so one of the side effects that I'm dealing with at the moment is called tardive dyskinesia. And you guys can look it up. And, well, that sounded mean. Now, I'll tell you about it. So if you say I'm blinking a lot, or I'm kind of going like that or whatever, I know that. You don't have to leave me a comment. That I know. And that is part of the tardive dyskinesia because it's like involuntary muscle stuff. But I've had dizziness, I've had vomiting, I've had the sweats, I've had huge dilated eyes, I've had crippled, almost to the point of crippled hands with muscle spasms. And let me just say that I am so impressed with people that live their daily lives in a state of illness because it's so hard. I've been very lucky. I haven't been nearly as affected as some other people have been affected by this drug, but it has still been terrible. So please bear with me. We don't know if my tardive dyskinesia will ever clear up or if I will always be a little blinky, a little twitchy, but just think of me as your blinky, twitchy older friend on the internet with bad hair. Try to fix that. Okay, so in the midst of all of this feeling poorly and feeling bad and everything like that, I, of course, was looking for comfort. And I didn't really want to go anywhere, so I went to my bookshelves, and I have some reads here that were very comforting to me, and I am going to discuss them with you. There's one that you probably have heard of, surely you've heard of, but there's some others that you may not have heard of, and I want to talk to you about them and tell you how they helped me. So the first book that we're going to discuss, I got this from Half Price Books, and I'm still waiting for that sponsorship, Half Price Books. Now, I know I'm twitchy and kind of blinky now, but I don't know, that might work for you. You might be like, well, maybe that's kind of a hook, an interesting hook. So if you're needing a sponsor, Half Price Books, here I am. So this one is Judy Bolton, The Voice in the Suitcase. And I had never read a Judy Bolton until I got this book. and it's wonderful. It came out along the same time as Nancy Drew. It was, I believe, in the same publishing house as Nancy Drew. But Nancy Drew just got more popular and Judy Bolton didn't. And so she kind of went downhill, whereas Nancy Drew went uphill. And I love Nancy Drew, don't get me wrong. But Judy Bolton was so refreshing. First off, she is a very flawed person. She's a flawed character. One of the parts that I loved in this is that she tells her parents that she wants to go spend some time at this girl's house, helping this girl clean up her grandparents' house. But she actually wants to, investigate a mystery. Excuse me, I need to drink my unnamed soda here. I don't know if I can do this on the YouTube, if I can say the name, but this is very comforting for me. Okay, and now I gotta move Twitch. Excuse me. Okay, so she wants to go to this friend's house in order to help the friend clean. And the parents are like, you don't clean in your own home. Why would we ever believe that you want to clean in someone else's home? But she goes and she investigates the mystery. It's kind of an interesting mystery. Not really, though. If you're looking for a really intricate puzzle, you don't want to do any Judy Bolton. But if you're really interested in people that are more real and that are more flawed, and the woman who wrote this was a very, very proud, active Unitarian. And so you really get that sense. She has lots of different characters in there. Some of the characters in here, like the grandparents, are hoarders. And that's talked about. And how embarrassing it is for the granddaughter, and who's Judy Bolton's friend. It's really a fantastic, comforting read. And I thought it was very comforting when I was going through all this to say that, everybody's got a problem. And somebody in your life is out there willing to help you get through your problem. And that's why I loved Judy Bolton. I'm currently looking for some more Judy Boltons. But they're kind of pricey because they're hard to find. So if you guys have any and you want to unload them, send them my way. So that was comfort book number 1. In the same vein as Judy Bolton, this particular Cherry Ames. Now, I've talked about Cherry Ames before, and I love her because I love Cherry Ames's world of the good people are good and the bad people are bad, and there's not a lot of gray area, and it's a simplified world. So I really love Cherry Ames. She's a nurse. In this one, she's country doctor nurse. And so in this one of the reasons that I just loved this was because not only was it short, but there is a mayor in town who is a slumlord. And Cherry takes on the fact that she's got to help this young politician. He's very JFK-like. She's got to help this young politician win the mayoral race because the mayor is a slumlord. And the mayor has got like a duo personality. Like he's got his public persona and everybody loves him and they think he's so generous and everything like that. But then the JFK kind of character and Cherry Ames know that he's a real ass. And so they have to expose it. And it's just a wonderful read. And I thought it was very comforting because it was like, good shall triumph over evil. And I thought it was great, especially in these day and times. Now, here's one that you may never have heard of. This is Miss Bishop. And this was actually made into a movie in the 30s or 40s. It's kind of a longer book. It's kind of a longer read. I loved it. It's copyright 1933. And you live the life of Miss Bishop. You follow her almost from childhood into old age where she almost perishes. It's her whole life. And Miss Bishop is a teacher. She's a teacher in a Midwestern town, and she kind of lives her life for other people. She loves other people, but she also loves herself. She's not a simp. But she gives so much to other people. And at the end of her life, she looks back at all of these decisions that she's made. And a lot of it is she wants to go to Europe. And spoiler alert, she never gets to go to Europe, because every single time she wants to go to Europe, someone in her family or her friends needs some money, or there's a tragedy she has to deal with. So she is a wonderful character. She perseveres. And she teaches at this school, and she goes through all these different, she like goes through the headmasters, like they're retiring and dying, but she stays on. Miss Bishop, when she gets to the end of her life, she kind of thinks, she has this moment where she was like, was it worth it? Was it? And it's really interesting how she faces that, how she faces her life of sacrifice for other people. Did she do the right thing all the time? No, not all the time she didn't. But I thought this was such a comforting read, because it showed you, or it showed me, how when you're really affecting other people by just living your own life. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said that right, but you're like a ripple in a pond. And when you think you don't matter, you do matter more than you realize. Just like the simple everyday interactions and stuff like that. It's not about being a martyr, but it's about, what is it about? It's not about being a martyr. It's more about living your life, doing the right thing, even though sometimes it means you're going to get left out, you're not going to get to go to Europe, and you're not going to get that plum position in the school. Is it worth it? That's the question at the end that she poses. And I don't want to give you too many more spoilers on it. I already told you about the Europe thing, but if you can find it, then I think you ought to read it. It's a fantastic read. It's called Miss Bishop. All right. The next one, now surely you guys have heard of Anne of Green Gables. I read this when I was I've read this one a couple of times. I've never read all of the Anne of Green Gables. It just never came up. It just was something I was never interested in. And again, I got this book in Austin, Texas, with my cousins, my family, who, thank God for my family. Thank God. Everyone's been so supportive through this. But this, I don't know if you can see it. This is one of the reasons why I love old bookstores. But this one was given as a gift in 1918. Can you see that? Isn't that beautiful? That's one of the reasons why I love old bookstores and half-price books and all those different places, because of the things that you actually find inside the books. But this particular book in the series of Anne of Avonlea spoke to me more than the other couple I've read. And like I said, I haven't read all of them. But this one, Anne is a young woman. She's gotten her first job. She wants to improve the neighborhood by setting up this little kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like a club. It's like a neighborhood improvement club or something like that. And Anne is just so near and dear to my heart at this stage of her development, because she's so constantly chagrined by the fact that things don't work out. They just don't work out the way she wants them to. And everything should be fantastic and everything should be wonderful. And she's put all of this effort into it. And yes, it's going to work. And it doesn't work. And yet she manages to go through it and keep her head high and try again. Get up the next morning and try again. This one has some wonderful scenes of Prince William Island. It has these two children in it that become kind of wards of Anne and her aunt. And there's a little girl and a little boy, and the little girl is portrayed as being very, very good, but she's kind of dull. And then the little boy is extremely bad. He's very mischievous, but he's not mischievous because he's ill-natured or he's cruel or anything like that. He just, in his mind, it was a good idea to shove that kid down the well. I mean, he doesn't shove a kid down the well, but the whole idea of all of these different characters coming together on Prince William Island, and Anne every day gets up. Every day I'm gonna get up and I'm Anne and I'm gonna try again. And it was just such a I needed this. I really needed this when I was going through all of my particularly weird side effects and everything, especially the hand thing, when I thought, because I was like this and I was like, oh, I'll never get it back. But it came back, thank God. But I needed to know you got to keep trying. And you got to keep moving forward, just like Anne. Okay, now the last book has really been the most comforting read for me throughout all of this. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it. I don't know where I found it. Again, it has a wonderful inscription. I got it at a secondhand bookstore for 25 cents. I don't know how many years ago I got this. And it sat on my shelf for a long time. I just never really picked it up. But it was maybe divine intervention. I don't know. I just picked it up on my lowest days. And this is called The Light of Many Lamps. And it is a series of little essays and vignettes. This one's about Robert Byrd. And what it is, let me see if I can describe it to you. So the author, or the editor, her name is Lillian Watson. And so what Lillian has done is she takes these stories. She takes, let's say, a newspaper article that she found very uplifting, and she reprints the newspaper article, but she also gives a story behind why the newspaper article was written. And it's not just newspaper articles, it's poems, and it's what else? It's sermons and everything like that. And so it's divided up into different sections. I'm going to read you the inscription, so don't worry about that, because I thought the inscription was wonderful too. Just something that I needed to hear. So they have these different sections, and the different sections, there's happiness and the enjoyment of living. I don't know if you can see this. Faith and inner calm. Courage and the conquest of fear. Confidence and achievement. Hope for the future, and contentment in later years. And so I have to tell you this one story. This was the first story or vignette, essay. I don't know the right word. But let me find it here because I want to pronounce the man's name correctly. Hold on. Where is it? Okay. Sidebar, do you guys remember when I did the Mary Roberts Rinehart, deep dive in Mary Roberts Rinehart, and I talked about how she had cancer and how that was a big thing that she gave an interview that she had cancer, and that was like a big, a big groundbreaking thing and everything like that. I didn't even know this. I had this book on my shelf. It's in here. The Mary Roberts Rinehart interview is in here. And the title of that vignette is There is Nothing to Fear About Most Cases of Cancer, Nothing Except Delay. Right here. Didn't even know. I could have used it in my other Mary Roberts Rinehart video, but anyway, it's wonderful. So let me find this guy. Hold on. I know you didn't sign on to watch me look for this book. But, okay, here it is right here. It is in the section entitled Faith and Inner Calm. And it is the story of Eddie Rickenbacker. So Eddie Rickenbacker, I gotta tell you this story. I pulled this off my shelf. I had a very bad day. I was particularly twitchy that day. My doctor was not paying any attention to me because the deal was, and again, I don't want to ramble too much because I don't want you to think that this channel is going to be about health things and stuff like that, because there's other people that do that, and I don't want to do that. But I was going through all of this, and my ex-doctor they just didn't care. I would call up and I'd be like, my eyes are dilated. I can't move my hands. I could barely move my head. I had this weird twisty thing where I couldn't, turn my head completely and everything like that. And they were just like, oh, well, this is a side effect of the medicine. It may wear off or it may not. Sorry that we told you to take it. That was it. And it was a very low point. So I pulled this book off the shelf and I opened it up and I read the story of Eddie Rickenbacker. And so Eddie Rickenbacker was on a destroyed naval vessel in World War II. And so the naval vessel sank and they were on a lifeboat. And so he talks about being on this lifeboat. I think they're on the lifeboat 20 days. And so they're on the lifeboat. I believe there's 8 of them on the lifeboat. 7 survive, but they're on this lifeboat, middle of nowhere. And they're on there, I guess it's like 10 days, 5 days or something like that. And a seagull flies in to the lifeboat and it lands on Rickenbacker's head. And so Rickenbacker slowly reaches up and he grabs the seagull by its legs, and the seagull's flapping and everything like that. And they twist its neck off and they ate it. And they ate that seagull, and the next day it rained and they didn't have anything to catch the fresh water. So they caught it in their hands and they licked it and everything like that. And they made it through and they did get rescued. And what an amazing story. And I was lying there with my dilated eyes and my crimped up hands. And I was like, you know what, Eddie, I'm glad I heard your story because it kind of puts a few things into perspective. Yes, I'm not feeling well. Yes, I got the short end of that stick. But you know what? I'm in a nice, comfortable bed. I have a loving family around me. I have lots of friends. And I've got this book that I picked up simply because I liked the inscription for 25 cents. And it turns out that kind of saved me. I mean, I don't want anyone to think that I was on the verge of, offing myself or anything, but it was a tough time. And to open it up and hear about that seagull that Eddie Rickenbacker ate because he was determined to get back home to his family. Amazing. All right, so we're almost done, almost finished. So let me just read you this beautiful inscription. And I don't exactly know what it means, but maybe you guys can tell me. Jane, love is a free gift. Neither God nor man loves us because of our worth. We would be worthless were it not for the giver of the gift we claim, Daniel. So I don't really get the sentence, we would be worthless were it not for the giver of the gift we claim. I don't exactly know what that means. I've thought about it for a long time. I've written it in my journal. Who's the giver of the gift? What gift do I claim? Neither God nor man loves us for our worth, but for the giver of the gift we claim. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. If you can, leave a comment in the below. I'm going to list out the books. I'm also going to give you a link for, I believe it's called ABE Books. I call it Abe Books, but it's a great place to find some used stuff. And they're very inexpensive, or you can find expensive stuff and you can find inexpensive stuff. But I was so moved by the story of Rickenbacker and all the others that I've read through the light of many lamps that I got onto Abe Books and I found a copy for $4. And I had it sent to a friend who was going through a depressive period. And I had it sent to her house. It was like a surprise. She was so thrilled by it. It's an older copy. It was a Christmas gift. Somebody has inscribed on hers, Merry Christmas from whatever, which is great. And I really hope that it gives you guys some comfort when you look at some of these older books. Doesn't have to be an older book. It could be any book that you want. But there's a lot of people out there that need to rest and read and be comfortable. So hang in there. We'll get through it. I hope all is well. I hope we don't get too much snow. But I'll be on my next installment. We're going to talk about Beverly Nichols. I said that kind of quiet because I was like, do I want to tell him? Yeah. I'm waiting for a book to come in the mail. And then once that book comes in the mail, I'll do another video on Beverly Nichols. Hopefully you guys have never heard of. All right. 2 thumbs up. Fight the good fight.